Hey Clashers, how does a completely maxed out village with those new supercharge level defend versus the newly nerfed equipments? Well, we're going to find out in today's video with using the top 3 strategy in the game after the update. But before that, let's take a look at the new legendary scenery. And yes, this animation right there is going to be there every single time someone finds your village, which is pretty cool, I have to say. If you zoom out, you see a little bit of Clash of Clans with a lot of cool stuff around it. You have to say, the graphics, everything looks really cool. And you can zoom into the scenery in other places as well and find little Easter eggs like stories of those heroes and their skins, for example. And overall, it's a really cool product. But there's only one downside, and that is the price. Because Supercell wants to make this a really exclusive thing. And with the price, I think they accomplished that, because the price is going to be, without taxes, $32.99, which is a lot. That is a really, really hefty price. And with the taxes, that means depending on where you live, that's around like $38 to $40 most likely. That's really expensive. That is, it's crazy expensive. The scenery, everything about it is really cool. It's just freaking expensive. But at the end of the day, it's a skin. It's like just cosmetics. So if it's too expensive, just don't get it, I guess, and you're completely fine. Like, you're not missing out on anything whatsoever. And the first time I saw the price, I was like, that's a joke, right? Well, apparently it was not. Supercell really plans to make this super exclusive, which is totally fine. Like, as I said, it's a skin. If you don't like it, the price, just don't buy it and you're completely fine. I think I would get it on my main account just because of, well, I have everything on there, but I will for sure not get it on my second or third account because I can get like gold passes for the next half of the year with this amount of money. So yeah, it's a easy decision there. But if you want to buy it or want to buy anything from the in-game shop to maybe boost the progression of the new supercharged level or whatever, or like now you buy the gold pass because there are actually new level and you can progress with those 20% perks in the gold pass, make sure to support your favorite content creator out there. And if you want to support me and this channel, make sure to use code iTzu. Really appreciate that. But now let's start with the number 3 spot of the top 3 strategies. And yes, Mass Root Riders are downgraded from number 1 to number 3. There were a lot of nerfs, but they're still within that top 3 strategies in my opinion, because this troop is just so good. For the equipments, well, pretty much everything stays mostly the same. For the king, it is Rage Vial and the Gauntlet, but you can go double epic, you can go as well Earthquake with a new spiky ball. All of that works fine. You can go with the Healing Tome. You have now the option as well with the Rage Tome. There's a lot of different stuff. The one thing I want to highlight though is the Royal Champion. If you're going with ground armies, I think the Haste and the Hot Rider Puppet is still the best combination, which means if the Royal Champ can like hop around other ground troops and can distract defenses and make them as well retarget and everything, so that's totally fine. That Spear with the shield though works fine as well, but more efficient for air attacks. Let's dive into this attack though. This strategy has overall 4 parts: Queen, King, Siege Barrack, and the Root Riders. You have to plan for that. Typically, you take down 1 corner each with Siege Barrack and with the Queen. If there's a lot of damage on one of the corners, you're adding the King, for example. This then makes sure that the corner is for sure funnel and you're sending the Root Riders in between. On this specific base, we have pretty easy to funnel corners, which means I'm just going to send the King into the middle of the base to take that core out with the Root Riders and the Valkyries together. Super Barbarians for this army, yes, you can replace them if you don't want to spend like 50,000 Dark Elixir every single time. I would just add more Root Riders and Valkyries, but those Super Barbarians are there for a reason. They're great to funnel, they're great to support your outside flanking troops. It's just really, really powerful, always. We're going to use then as well 2 Overgrowth spell. Yes, again, they were nerfed, but it's not as big of an impact, to be honest. There was like some little number changes only. And especially with 2 Overgrowth and you don't care about time as a regular clasher, you can just use 2 Overgrowth, make sure half of the base is like useless for most of the attack, and especially taking down the damage of the Town Hall and the Eagle together is like great value for sure. So just make sure that you're having the timing of adding the second Overgrowth as soon as the first one is running out. And, well, then just make sure that you're adding your rages. Another important thing, I'm using the healing tome in this specific attack. If you're using the rage gem with this, the druids are going to be more efficient because they will be raged up, which means the eternal tome ability can be delayed a little bit. But this means rage spells are less effective. So if you're using the rage gem as an equipment on the warden, make sure that you're replacing 1 or 2 rages and add freezes or skeleton spells instead. Makes your army more powerful. If you're going with the healing tome as I did, just keep everything the same. The Royal Champ has been deployed already quite early. She has already taken down the entire top side without using any of her active ability. And now where she's getting into the Town Hall, we're going to use the equipment. And again, she's doing her job completely fine with those equipment nerfs. I've seen a lot of people saying Hot Rider Puppet will be dead on Town Hall 16. No, it's not. The main ability about this is that you have tanking and an invisibility effect. That is the main thing, and that is not going to be changed. Now, let's talk about the second best strategy, which is going to be Mass Dragons. The big benefit of this is you don't have any super troops. The downside is you always need clan castle troops to really make sure that you're taking down the Town Hall. That's the important difference, I guess, between the Mass Root Rider. Equipment-wise, pretty much everything stays the same as well, I guess, with the King. Gauntlet Vamstash is just super strong. Double Epic still works as well, but you can as well use the Spiky Ball with the Earthquake Boots. For the Queen, that giant arrow is just a game changer, trust me. You need it on level 9 though. Level 9 is the important thing because this is going to one-shot then those sweepers. Level 18 is nice to have to then take down any air defense level whatsoever, but level 9, that's the important thing. For the Warden, Healing Tome works, Rage Gem works. Both works completely fine. Both have good things and bad things to say about it, which we will talk about more specific during the attack. For the Royal Champ, since this is an air attack, we're going this time around with the Rocket Spear and then as well the shield equipment. But again, you can go as well with the Hog Riders and the Haste Vial. Totally fine. For this one, as always, we're targeting sweepers. Air defenses are like further inside, that's fine, but we want to take down the sweepers, which are targeting or going to our direction of the entry with the dragons. We're starting from the top side, King on the far right. So we want to take down the sweeper, which is pointing in that direction. The important thing now is obviously setting up the funnel for the King, but I've seen a lot of comments of people saying, how do you actually use the giant arrow? Well, there is no easy way, you have to learn it, but how does it work actually? So you're setting up a first building, which you're going to target first with your Queen, and you're going to have the target behind. Draw a line between those two buildings, and then increase that line a little bit, and that's where you're going to deploy that Queen. With that, you always have the straight line of the giant arrow, and you will always take down the target within that core. That's pretty much how you use that. And you can do that with like, take a paper and use that on your device, or just try to make sure that you're getting the line straight in your head or anything. Like, that's completely up to you, but that's how this equipment works. Next thing for this one, we have the Healing Tome. The Healing Tome is especially great because you don't have that as much power in the beginning because you don't have any rages for your dragons with this army. The downside, the upside though, is that you can recover all of the hit points which are missing with the Healing Tome. So it has good and bad effects pretty much as before. We're using though triple clone. The reason for this is because of the Eternal Tome nerf, because it's now going to last only 8 seconds instead of the 9.5 seconds. So you want to make sure the Town Hall is going down. If there's a tornado trap, black mines, anything catching your blimp, you can actually clone towards the Town Hall and still take it down. And that's the key thing why we are bringing 3 clone spells. We have added the Royal Champ for the Queen to make sure like second layer damage things are gone. And with this one, the Hot Rider Puppet and Haste Vial would have done the same thing and would have been completely fine as well. So really, don't freak out about the Hot Rider Puppet. Trust me, it's really going to be fine. The main power is spawning, tanking troops, and yes, it's 2 level lower, but that's completely fine. And in really only little cases, having a big impact, and the invisibility of 1 second when using that equipment is just the biggest game changer, and that is not changed whatsoever. On this, we have more dragons alive than we have started with. Super overpowering attack, and that's even though we have a double rage core, which typically is really annoying to attack for those dragons. But the number 1 strategy is for sure, after all of those changes, the Super Witches. They are the clear winners. Super Witches are already, since many town level, the strongest or one of the strongest troops in the entire game. They only always had one problem, and that's why they were not used that much, and that is time. They were not as quick of a troop. Powerhouse, but not that quick. But with the Fireball and Rage Gem, of the Warden, this has completely changed. But let's take a look at the King, Queen, and Royal Champ first. For King, Earthquake plus Spiky Ball, I think has to be my favorite, not because of the power, but just because of the fun factor and overall really universal use cases. You can still use double Epic or Rage and the Gauntlet. All of that works totally fine. You have many options actually now with the strategy, which are all equally strong, and depending on what you have upgraded, all are good to use. On the Archer Queen, the same thing. Healer Puppet with the Mirror or Healer Puppet with the Frozen Arrow are really good options. And the third one is a little bit weaker, but still as well available to use, which is Double Epic. But it's not as strong as the first two. For the Royal Champion, we have the Ground Army, which is Haste, and obviously the Hog Rider Puppet. For the Fireball, and that's the important thing, the yellow things have changed because of the new Supercharge level. But you can tell as well, there's not a big change. Like with 27, you can still take down everything with 1 Earthquake. With level 20, you can still take down everything with 2 Earthquakes. And we're using with this army actually 2 Earthquakes to make sure that it can show to you that 1 extra Earthquake is not changing anything. Level 20 Fireball is completely fine to use. The flexibility of this army is another insane thing. So you can go with taking down the Eagle compartment and go enter next to it. You can take down whatever is next to it and go into the Eagle. This army is a really, really visual army, which means you just have to create this pathing in a visual way, and you don't care about the buildings which are actually taken down. So for me, currently the goal is to take down the top left side. Even if there would be only collectors, I would have taken that out, because that is creating the pathing for my super witches. As I said earlier, at this point, we're talking about the most powerful troop since a long time in the game, and they only struggled with time. But because I can take down so many buildings with that warden within a couple of seconds, the time is not a factor anymore. The Queen will always then send around the outside to create the anti-funnel to push everything inside, and then use the King with those witches inside. So the key thing here though is to make sure that you're not deploying the King too early. That would mean that he would run ahead of things and would just take too much damage. Another really important trick with this strategy is do not rage your King or your Giant Skeletons. The rage spells are mainly for your druids. The reason is you typically have 2 to maybe 4 droids on your super witches, and if you rage them up, even through every single key defense in the game, your super witches won't die. Even if there's a rage tower, there's everything, there's the tunnel explosion, they won't die as long as you have like 2 to 4 of those droids raged up and they're on your witches. So whenever you deploy a rage, make sure that you're deploying it when there's a lot of damage on your troops, and rage up those droids. That's the game changer. That is the most important thing. Don't rage up your Giant Skeletons. That's not worth anything. As well, adding the Royal Champ now on the flank, and as I said earlier, if you are using a ground army, you will barely feel any difference with the Royal Champ equipment changes. If you're using the Rocket Spear though, you have to be way more strategical, because if you're using the ability too early, you have, like, overall you have no health recovery, and this can really cause a lot of problems for you. So you really be careful with using the Rocket Spear and the shield. It's strong, but it's way harder to use than the Haste and the Hog Rider Puppet. For this attack, the base is gone like nothing. As I said, this is literally the best strategy in the entire game right now. By far, it's not even close whatsoever. And that's pretty much how it works. Let me know what you think about my rankings of the strategies of the equipment. Looking forward to that. As I said already, I have tested all of this quite a bit. So for me, I have already had plenty of different use cases of and cases in general where I did not see any difference of the nerfs in the equipment, and it's really rarely happening that you see those differences. But otherwise, looking forward to your opinion. Let me know what you think. Otherwise, Legendary Scenery, let me know what you think about that. If you feel as I'm pretty sure everyone would feel the same, that it's a little bit too expensive. But hey, thank you so much for watching. The strategy links are, as always, down below in the description. And I will see you guys back tomorrow with the next class video. Until then, see ya and bye-bye.